People think that entrepreneurship is all about the business.
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Once you know yourself, who you are, what do you want, what you already know within yourself, you will definitely be successful. That I guarantee you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Personal Development for Entrepreneurs. I'm here today with my mentor and great friend, Dr. Venga. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about something very interesting. Your mind is your genie, so think well. So let me give you a bit of synopsis. You're gifted with your own personal genie, which is your mind. What you think of, the mind can make happen. That means if you think your worries all day long, that's what you're going to get. But therein lies the catch. The mind can easily get fixated on problems. On the other hand, it takes effort to think of what you want and to keep your thoughts focused on that. In this episode, Dr. Venga is going to explain how you can keep fixated on good things and achieve what you want. Good evening, Dr. Venga.
Good evening to all of you. Good evening, Ikram, and good evening to all you viewers, those who have joined us. Okay, I hope we will be able to at least share some light, a little light on what we both think is something that every individual who is watching this program, or those who come and join us later, maybe next week when you see the whatever, that you can actually look at this in a more in a way that you can actually do whatever you want to do. I think you all remember the first book which I ever read was the book called, in the beginning of my life, Think and Grow Rich. You remember that book, Ikram?
Yes, I read it a couple of times.
Exactly. Have you, the Think and Grow Rich was a very fascinating book. I think if you can get hold of it now, it's a classic. You probably understand that he was also talking about this thing that we are talking about today, the mind, and how he was able to he had a son who could not hear. You remember that, right?
Yep.
Now he made sure that whatever little things that if the son observed, he will automatically, this means you can hear. And he kept on saying to, yes, you can hear. Yes, you can hear. Although the university, the medical people told him, your son cannot hear. And yet the same father made his son go into a school and even obtain a university education by simply focusing. And science could not explain that later when they tested the boy, he could actually hear. That was the first book I read about Think and Grow Rich, because the entire book was about how to get rich. I was not interested in the rich part. I was more interested in how was it possible for somebody born without the hearing can actually learn to hear. They found that the ear itself was able to create a path and created a second ear for the boy, because the father was so positive in this approach. You read and you'll probably understand it better. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first book that I read. And then later on, I read a book called Awakening the Giant Within You.
Tony Robbins.
Okay. Now, when that book was written, I was amazed at what he was talking about. Again, he talked about the mind, but not in explicit term, but the giant is yourself. If you awaken it, you can get whatever you want in life. And subsequent to that, there were many other kind of books on this matter, but all of it were quite superficial until about 2-3 years ago, when Sadhguru published his first book, or one of the books, called The Inner Engineering. And there he talked about, you can buy the book, huh? Read about it, where he talked about the mind. And he said, within you, within yourself, you have the capability and the possibility of changing your thinking and become who you want to be. And then he prescribed a simple method of yoga and some sadhanas and things like that, okay? And the whole world, I believe, about 1 billion people have benefited from this program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's also the same. It's also the same. Now, of course, you can think about it in that way. But let me just say of my own self, because I cannot get away from just walking past this. I must say that I have experienced it in my own personal life. Is what took people about 12 to 13 years to go through elementary education. I did that in 3 years. From not knowing how to read and write to the point I could sit on my senior Cambridge and pass that exam. 3 years. Okay. And then the teacher who taught me took me on, and he was able, he took me, he was able to show me the path of my mind, but without mentioning the word mind. If you want to pass your exam, you have to learn how to write A properly. And then everything on a sandbox, He literally imprinted everything that I wrote on the sandbox into my mind. Not my brain, my mind. I had that since, ever since that time, I think from the age of 17 or so, I've always been fascinated when people talk about the brain. I always do not talk about the brain because I think it's only a computing station. I talk about the mind. And the mind in the English term means nothing. But as Sadhguru explains, there are 4 portions to a mind. I think it'll be best that if you read the book and understand it. For this moment, he talked about bhukti, he talked about hankara, he talked about menace, he talked about chitta, 4 things in a mind. And for instance, the first one, which is the bhukti, he says that the bhukti is only the intellect, which the world is now using, the intellect. He said intellect needs memory. And that memory is absorbed by your own self through your eyes, your ear, your nose, your mouth, and your touch. These are 5 senses which you keep on absorbing information. You absorb. And from that intellect, it can dissect it. It will keep on dissecting and dissecting the information you already have. This is what you gathered, not what you came with. Okay, now in that way, you begin to understand things much better. Like if you want to know what a frog is all about, you got to dissect the frog, take the frog out, and then study every part. I'm sure, Ikram, you must have done it in school. That's how the Western education is all about. Everything you want to know, cut it, look at it, and then the frog is no more a frog.
Yes.
But you have gained something from it. But as Sadhguru says, this is also true. That is that we all have the intellect. Intellect is for survival. Okay? But if you talk about the mind, then the mind is something more different. Now, for instance, we are born. We are already born with the second part of it, that is memory. These memories are divided into 8 parts. We have 8 different types of memory. Again, I suggest you buy the book and read it, okay? Then you can probably understand it better. But for this moment, memory came with you. The third part is the part that called menace. Menace is something that is also, information that you are also born with. Okay, and finally, he talked about chitta, meaning the intelligence part of you, which is by itself standing there. I want to explain that a little bit. Number one, you notice that you can heal yourself. You got a cold. As long as you do not allow your temperature to go beyond a certain point, within 2.5 to 3 days, your cold will go away. In fact, this is also true now in the COVID. If you have taken a vaccine, the 2 and the 3rd dose, even though you come in contact with, or even if you touch flu, you can go out within 3 to 4 days. You will recover within 3 to 4 days. Okay, you know this for a fact. So how is that possible? Is it that something inside us that making it work? It is got to do with your mind. And that's why this 4 part of our mind is important to understand. Okay, I suggest that if you guys get the chance, if not download or listen to Sadhguru's tape, then you probably will understand this. The genie that we have is that part of it called the intelligent, chitta, which is, it works without any memory. It is there with you. I just want to go back in time, okay? Just remember, then you, as a human, you first of all, 2 cells, one from your father and one from your mother, they got together and became one. And that one cell was in your mother's womb. Your mother just took care of it in her womb. It needs a woman's womb to take shape. Yes, assisted by your father and your mother. Within that one cell, it began to multiply. 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 and so on and so forth. And it actually, within your mother's stomach, built this human that you are in, Ikram. All of us came like that. How is it possible that 2 cells, we don't know how to explain it, so the simple way we say that, God came and created us, or some kind of power that is out there. And you know what? We can talk like that, but the fact of the matter is, these 2 cells made you. The moment you realize that, how is that possible? Have you ever met a human being in this world who has a nose at the back of the head?
No.
Or the eyes at the back of your head? Or the ear turning the other way around? Or the ear on top of your head like that? I would like to have the ear here like that, no? Do we have it? No. Because we're all human. And we create ourselves. This genius is within you. That's why when you cut yourself a little bit by the knife or something like that, accidentally, very soon the blood will flow and seal up the wound. Is that true or not?
Absolutely.
Your heart, as an example, if one of your vessels, say coronary vessel, is blocked, it can find a way to go around it and build a bigger vessel around it. This is also a fact, science. Read in the Google. It was fashionable to go for heart vascular transplant. I take one from my nerve, from my leg, and put it on my heart. I never did that. I'm 82 years old. I don't. Because I know somehow or other, if I take care of what I eat, food, and take care of my health the way it should be, it will find a way to look after itself. That's what I am. My wife is a good example. 20 years ago, they wanted to cut her up and put all kinds of things. I said, no. I said, no. And I told my wife, it's up to you to decide. It's not a question of money. It's a question of, do you want to be medically treated or do you want to put this artificial treatment? So she said, I will do what you advise me to do. She's now 75 years old, 20 years ago. She got no bypass, nothing. Yet, she's healthy, she's well. Ikram, you have met her.
Yes, I have.
So these are stories I will share with you. Huh? Sorry, Ikram.
Ill and healthy person.
Okay. So these are things I'm quoting to you from my own example. In my own life, many a time, that this genie, this capability is inside you. But we do not spend time trying to develop it. Why? Because when we absorb information, okay? When we absorb information, we identify ourselves with that information. And when it's absorbed by you, by your eyes, by your ear, by your nose, by your mouth, and by your hand, that information is the growth of intellect. Intellect loves to dissect all the information you have. 365 degrees, cut it and do anything it can, completely over and over. In fact, you are looking at the same thing over and over again. No new intelligence is added to intellect. But let me say this. If there was some vessel in your kidney or your liver or somewhere, something is wrong, your intelligence knows how to repair it. Don't tell me you never had that.
I've seen the opposite happen. You know, as much as you say one can heal themselves, very recently I saw this happening with my own eyes. My mother-in-law, she was feeling a little unwell, just a little. She had gone out, she came back, she's not feeling too good. And over the night to the next day, she developed a temperature and she was convinced she had COVID. In the morning, she looked horrible. She looked like, you know, really bad, fever, weak, lethargic. She said, I've got COVID. So I immediately took her to the hospital. They did a PCR test. And I'm not sure if it was a PCR or an RTK test, but we got the test results the same day and she was negative. The moment she knew she was negative, Venga, her temperature went away. She looked almost instantly, you know, within that 30 minutes, right? She was so happy she didn't have COVID. She looked better, she felt better, she didn't have a temperature, and she was back to normal.
So mind over matter, huh?
Yeah.
Let me give you some example, okay? About a week ago, not a week ago, 4 or 5 days ago, Rose, my wife, told me, hey, I think I got COVID. I said, why do you think like that? Everybody, you know, neighbor all got COVID. I said, because they have COVID, you have COVID. Yeah, I think so. All right. Did you do your temperature? She said, yes, I did. But I think the temperature battery no more. No? I said, why? It shows 36.2. Oh, say, you mean more battery will give you the right temperature? Thinking, huh? So what I did, I took her to the pharmacy. Okay. I complained about the thermometer and bought a new one. And on the spot, tested her, 36.2. So I said, do you think a fever? The two temperature? No, isn't it? You see, it's your mind. I told her. Together with the pharmacist, it's your thinking that you got COVID. You will have COVID. So I told her a story. Next time when we're driving home, sit in your car, hold the steering and drive. And as you're driving, tell, I will meet with an accident. 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 Before we go home, I'm sure we will meet with an accident. Now, say, Choi, I will not do that. I say, okay, let me drive. But that's exactly what happened. You try it one of these days, all of you listening to this program. You see how powerful your mind is. You tell it, I want to meet with an accident. I will meet with an accident. You try doing that. I guarantee you, you will meet with an accident. Ikram?
Absolutely.
Because why? That's what you want to happen. That's why the Think and Grow Rich book was bent on that. He put the word success and put the dollar signs. His son did it. SUCCXS, success, the word. He wrote the book, and the boy took a pen, and on the S he put a cross, on the C he put a cross like that, downward cross. Automatically they said, wow, you can hear me. That's how it all started, okay? So whatever you decided, the genie is within us. No? Recently, Ikram, like your mother, I myself no, had many personal experience in that. No? But I discovered my genie when I was about 7 years old. No? I didn't know it was genie. My own ability to talk to people, to reason with people, young people, to put them on the right path. I started that at the age of 7. Showing and exchanging with people for them to survive just after the war and through the war. Before the war, during the war, and after the war. I discovered I had that ability to talk to people. Not convince, show them they can actually survive through anything, because I had survived through that. And that's when I learned that I have the ability to make people see things differently. Why is it possible? It's possible because my view of things is very simple. Whatever I know in the past is the past. I cannot do anything with the past. So I never ever use my intellect to dissect information that's already there. I never did that. All the time, I was looking for my intelligence. How to solve this? What can I do to make it better? It came. I did not know that until later on in life, I begin to understand. And that's how I'm telling you again and again, the intelligence is within us. It's in your whole body. I was giving a seminar the other day, and I was explaining to the owner of the company. He asked me, he said, Venga, how can I make people become passionate? I told him, you can't. You can only show your passion. You cannot teach people the passion to do something, unless your mind, your body, and your spirit comes together. Because when they come together, become one, then they can manage the unnecessary information that you have absorbed through your senses. With the intellect that's cutting you up, you begin to develop emotion. This emotion, you develop it yourself. Nobody is loading it to you. So this emotion, and a gift that is given to you, imagination, through the intellect. When emotion combined with imagination, you will think of everything else. Have you ever heard somebody tell you a story about how he climbed a mountain? He saw a small rat or an insect or something like that. And as he was coming down the hill, he explained, hey, just watch out, there's a little thing, By the time he told the story to the 10th fella, okay, and then he left, everybody expanded the story. Suddenly it became a big crocodile sitting on top of the mountain. This is how we exaggerate. Imagination, our own emotion builds up. Now, if you stop your imagination and stop this emotion that you have, till today, they have not been able to manage emotion. Of course, EQ, emotional intelligence management, they died all that, but they're dead. Nothing has gone. They're still doing work on it. That's why they're even looking at their own psychology at the present moment, whether this is the correct way. So a lot of that, Lana. So I'm saying this to you. We have this great genie inside us to help us live a normal life. All we got to do is to take care of what we eat, how we eat them, and whether or not we are using that genius that we were born with. I mean, don't tell me this, Ikram. Just see this. What did you have for breakfast, Ikram?
I don't have breakfast, but I had lunch.
What do you have for lunch?
I had noodles.
Okay. Now, if you have a cat or a dog and you feed noodles to the cat or dog, okay, will the dog eat it?
No.
Why not?
Well, at least the dogs I had, they're very fussy with their food.
Okay. Now, if you eat dog food, will you become a dog?
No.
If the dog eat human food, will they become human?
No.
So the food is smart, right? Or are we smart? No matter what we eat, the body knows how to absorb what it wants, the rest of it throws out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where is the genius? Now science is saying the stomach has got its own intelligence. The intestines have got own intelligence. The liver has got its own intelligence. Take an example, a liver. You cut the liver. Does it grow back, Ikram?
Yes, it does.
So where does the intelligence comes from? Within ourselves. Correct or not?
Yep.
Our heart, some block, it repairs itself. Our brain, some vessels there, if you eat the right food, you do the right thing, it also will find a way to go around the block, isn't it, Ikram?
Yep.
So in short, we have this genius inside us. We don't know how to use them. My formula for that is very simple. Your thoughts. Examine your thought and go through that day in and day out. What are you thinking about? Why are you thinking about that? Can you do something with it or not? What are you thinking? Why are you thinking? Can you do something about it or not? Why is it that all these thoughts are the one that is killing you? And helped by the intellect, which is dissecting, looking at it. and that's what makes us become very foolish. I remember the teacher who taught me first. He said 3 things. First, you must come to my house before the sunrise. You can go home before the sunset. 1. Number 2, he said, whatever I cook in this house, you will eat. I said, thank you very much. See? And the third thing is, you have to sit for 3 exams. I want to learn how to read and write. I say, yes, I'll promise anything. But the 2 was the interesting part. Okay? And that was, I understood every day there is a sunrise and a sunset. And within the sunrise and sunset, I can do something with it. My resource. The rest is inside me. How do I use me to make use of the time? That sunrise to sunset. That's what made me to who I am today. And Ikram, actually, every single human being is a genius. Yes. In his or her way. But we don't know that we have that ability.
How does someone tap into that ability? Tap into this genie.
Number one, Vikram, first examine your own. You are thinking all that. There are lots of thoughts coming out of it. Those thoughts must be understood by you. You cannot just whisk it apart or let it go by. You must capture that. The more you capture all your thoughts, then you begin to understand your mind much better. That's exactly how I did it. I can tell you, my dear Ikram, okay, for 1 month, for 1 whole month, I did not allow my thoughts to interfere with what I was doing for 1 whole month. I'm alive because of that. Every single person have the ability, because there are so many things. It's just coming, going, coming, going, coming, going. You don't capture it. If you do not capture what you're thinking, no one can help you, because you need to manage your intellect. Let your intelligence flow. Intelligence will not come out as long as the intellect is over it. Only when the intellect shuts up, intelligence comes out. That's why they say, sit down, meditate, watch your breath, forget about everything else. That's what mindfulness was taught by Gautama Buddha. Goenka from Burma developed the mindfulness meditation. Now some Americans are claiming that they are the one who developed this stupid thing, but it is there. It is a Buddhist meditation thing. Okay, originally came from the Indians. Mindful meditation. Okay, oh, what are they trying to do? They're trying to build inside you the genius that you have. You have it, but you don't want to recognize it. You are so caught up with the new iPhone, with the new software, or something new has come out, and running to the shopping mall, and all the time running to die. You run, sit down and think about it. Ikram, when will we ever stop and let our genius that we have within us come out? And simple, write it down. And then set up a process. You must have a process. Everything you have to do is a process. That process is something that you must develop. What is good for me, what works for me may not work for you, Ikram. And the third thing that you must do, everything you do, you must review. In the last 2 years, from 2021, from the COVID period till now, I have now got about 84 people who are using the week planner. And I have a success rate of 100% in whatever they were doing, from a marriage to children, managing their husband and wife, and their businesses. Okay, simple thing, no? Simple thing to do. Write your thoughts down. Examine why you are thinking like that. Is it you, or is it some nonsense that is creating all this? Process, set up a process. We have done that, and finally do a review. Review means you are improving yourself. The more you review, the more you will come better at it. Do I make sense or not, Ikram?
Yes, Venga. So just to recap, right? What you're saying is, if we want to harness the power of the mind through thinking, we need to, there's a 3-step process. First, examine your thoughts. And examining it means capture your thoughts, right? Write them down. Ask it, and when you're writing down, ask yourself why you're having these thoughts. What is it you want? Ask questions, correct? And then set up a process for what you want.
Yes.
And then follow this process, but don't forget to review it every day.
Exactly. And if you're already using the V planner, I have designed it in such a way from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening. They are divided into 20-minute blocks. Do something for 20 minutes, whatever you want to do. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. By taking that action, at the end of the day, you can ask yourself, hey, how have I spent my day? No? If every day you have done something and you feel that you have been productive in whatever you are doing, will you be a happy person, Ikram?
Absolutely. By the way, for our listeners who are interested in looking at your V planner, they can purchase it directly from Ventrax, or just send in a question, or write in the comments below, or drop us a private message, and we'll have it delivered to you. It is one of the best planners I have used personally, and what Venga is saying is absolutely right. It helps. It encapsulates this 3-step process that he was talking about.
Yes, Ikram. Okay, now, why are human caught up as not being productive? It's because within yourself, you are actually suppressing the genie. You don't allow it to come out. Because why? It is not something like the Arabian story, you rub the lamp and the genie come out. This one, you got to work inside you. The more you work within yourself, the more your genius comes out. From financial management, home management, relationship management, managing your children, managing whatever you want to do in your life. You can make it better. I have no doubt you will have a happy and a fruitful life. That I guarantee you.
Well, I've experienced it for myself. So that's how you harness the power of your thoughts and how you think and get what you want.
Yeah.
Examine your thoughts, capture them, write it down, set up a process, review.
That's right. No magic. Sounds simple, isn't it, Ikram?
Yes, yes.
It is simple. But we do not believe in simplicity. We are a complex human being. We don't think things are that simple. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, you will find newer ways of doing it. There is no such thing as a person is born stupid. There are no such nonsense. No such nonsense. Ikram, none. Everyone is a genius by himself or herself. It's how do you discover that?
Yep.
How do you discover your own genius? How do you discover that? Simple, right? Process, review. That's it.
So simple but beautiful.
Well, I think people think it is so simple, anybody can do it. You try doing it. That's why you live in this world where people want to distract you. That's why the whole world is engaged in collecting data about your behavior. And then because of your behavior, they send you messages, what you should buy, what you should eat, and what you should do, constantly sending these messages. We are caught up in the trap. If you move away from that and say, hey, do I really need it? Ask yourself, do I really need it? The answer will be no. Isn't it? So all I'm saying is that genie, you see, if you think now I'm going to get COVID, I'm going to sit down for one hour and say I'm going to get COVID, I'm going to get, what do you think will happen to you? You will get COVID.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
telling you that, okay? And then, Ikram, why are humans behaving in that way? Why? Not because they do not know, but we are being bombarded with so much of information. Now the whole world, nearly 7.9 billion people are talking about the Ukrainian atomic war or nuclear war. Correct or not?
Yes.
Yes or not?
Yep.
So you got no other thing to think about, right? Who's going to push the button first, right? And you know what, Ikram? Well, you want it to happen. Answer is no, isn't it? Who can make the change? You as an individual, I as an individual can make the change. So that those people who are supposed to be the leaders start to behave.
Venga, we have 1 more minute left. We have to conclude now. Is there anything you'd like to say to as a final summary to what we've spoken about today?
I can say this to all of you. I was born as I am, okay? But what made me become what I am is myself, my own self, everything. I never went to a proper school, but everything. So if I say to you, the genie is inside me, the same genie is not inside you. You have a genie of your own and probably cleverer than me. Okay, because why? I came from an era before the Second World War. I have a reptilian brain and the neurocortex. My brain, my total brain is not as good as what you have, all of you have. It's a better brain. If I can do what I did, why can't you? You can do better.
Correct.
But in order to do that, whatever you do, your whole body, your mind, and your spirit must come together. When they come together, it'll control your emotion and it will control or manage your imagination. And if you can do both of this, you will be a successful individual, believe it or not. And that's what Think and Grow Rich, Awakening the Giant Within You, and so many other books that came out of it later on. Well, I hope that you will at least give it a try and see what else can help you. If not, come back to us and we'll see how we can help you. No?
Wonderful, Venga. Thank you very much. So to our listeners out there, if you've got any questions, please post them on the comment section below. We'll be happy to answer them in real time, or if you're posting it after this live session, we'll reply as soon as possible. If you're interested in Dr. Venga's planner, please send us a private message, a direct message, and someone will respond to you and have them delivered to you. That's all from us tonight. Our next personal development for entrepreneurs is happening on April 6th. It's the first Wednesday as usual of the month. The only time where we went off schedule a little bit was last month in February because of the Chinese New Year season, but now we're back on to the first Wednesday every month. See you next month.
Good night.